In today's video we're going to look at rule of thirds and how you apply it, especially when it comes to dialogue, so stay tuned. Hey guys, my name is Eon and welcome to my Start Animating YouTube channel, the channel that is specifically aimed at everyone that is new to animation. And if that is you, welcome, you are at the right place. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also click on that little notification bell so that you can get notified every week when I upload a brand new video. Now today we're going to look at rule of thirds. Now this is something that is extremely popular when you're doing videography, as well as photography. This is something that they use a lot just to get the composition of your scene look right, the way it should. And this is very important in animation as well. If you do dialogues or you want to place your characters correctly, then normally you start off with the rule of thirds. Now there are instances where you can break this rule, so it really depends on your scene, but this is a great rule of thumb that you can start off with, especially in this storyboarding phase, and then you can take it from there and see what works. But this is a great starting point, but for dialogue this is a must. When you do dialogue, this formula is something that you need to implement. So what is the rule of thirds? So what I did is I've just opened up Draw Plus X6. It's just a drawing software. It's going to be much easier for me to explain to you exactly what or how the rule of thirds work. So what I did is I've just created a block here, or a scene, or not a scene but a frame that is 1920 by 1080, your normal video ratio, and I've just created a mask. So if I remove the mask, you'll see it's just so that everything that I will move around will stay within this block, so it will give you a nice idea of what it should look like. And then I've created these grid lines. Okay, so this is where the rule of third comes in. Okay, so you'll see you've got 3 blocks horizontally and then 3 blocks vertically. Okay, or vertically. So that is your third. So you break your scene, you break it down into thirds. Okay, now the rule of thumb is your main object should never be directly in the middle block. So for example, if I take a character here, I've got a character, and if I move him, now obviously the main area of a character is his face. So if we put his face in that middle block and we remove the grid, you'll see that doesn't look right. Your scene doesn't look balanced. Okay, so you never want to put something in the middle block. Okay, so if I'm gonna go, let's move him up, let's do that. Okay, and we remove the grid again. Okay, that looks better, but there's a lot of unnecessary space behind them which doesn't look natural. And this is especially comes into play when it comes to dialogue. Okay, so you want to direct the viewer, the audience, in the direction that he's talking to. Okay, so if he is facing this way, okay, so you want to move your character this way. So you want the open space to be in front of him, because obviously in a dialogue scene, the character he's going to talk to is going to stand just outside the screen. So you are actually leading the audience to the other character, and it looks like he's facing someone. But if he is standing in the middle, or if he's standing there, your scene doesn't look balanced. Okay, so now this is where the rule of third comes in for the best placement. So I take my character, and you want to place him on that line there. So if I drag him, I place him on that line, and if I remove the grid, he is perfectly placed, and that is where you want your character to be. Okay, so when we do a dialogue, so let's take him out, and now we've got our second character. Now this character I have already placed on that grid. Okay, so now I've got two cameras. The one camera is facing the old guy, the second camera is facing the second girl, or this young girl, the second character. But if I'm gonna switch between the two, okay, let's put the two on top of each other. Okay, so I've got my rule of thirds right. My characters are on that grid lines where they're supposed to be, facing the right direction, but it still doesn't look right. Why? Okay, because the characters aren't the same size. So when you do a dialogue, it is very important to make sure that not only do you place your characters on the correct grid, but you need to make sure your characters is the same size. Otherwise it looks off. It will look, when you switch from camera to camera, the one is close up, the other one's far. So it's gonna be like this the whole time, close far, when you do your dialogue, and that will be very disturbing. So let's just remove the grid. So what you want to do is you want to resize the two characters so that they are roughly the same size. I would say roughly like that. Let's make sure he's on his grid there. You can see the top part of the head is pretty much at the same place. Let's remove the grid. Okay, so the two characters now is pretty much the same size, I think. So if I'm gonna do a dialogue now, that character is talking to the little girl, and then the camera switch, and the camera is now on the little girl, and the scene is nicely balanced. Okay, so your characters are on the grid. They are the open space is in front of the character in the direction that they are looking to. Because the character is outside the scene, so your scene is nicely balanced. Okay, so especially when it comes to dialogue, using the rule of thirds is very important, and you'll create a nice balance in your scene when you cut from one camera to the next. But like I've mentioned earlier, you can break this rule. For example, if the character is facing at the front, not the side like this, so the character is facing front, then you can move the character, put him in the middle, and he's now facing the camera like I'm doing now. I'm in the middle of the scene or camera, and I'm looking towards the camera. So there are instances where you can place the character in the middle, but when it comes to a dialogue, you don't really want to do that. Okay, you want him to be there, but there are times that you can maybe, let's swap him. Or there you go. Okay, so now we place him. He's facing the other way, and the open space is behind him. Okay, so what I did now is I've placed him on the other grid. Okay, as you can see, but then maybe this character is sneaking up behind him. Okay, so I've placed that character on that grid, this character. So now basically you are telling a story. Okay, so now you've got your character. He's not looking, the open space is not in front of him, it is behind him, but it helps to tell the story. So now you actually want the focus to be behind your character, because maybe the little girl is sneaking up on him and he doesn't know she's there. So the story is happening behind the character. So there are times where you can break the rule of thirds and to help tell the story so much better. But as you've noticed in both these instances, it is not dialogue. There's no dialogue involved. Okay, so when it comes to dialogue, you typically want your characters to be on that grid with the open space in front of them. Let's say, for example, you have just one camera and both characters appear in the shot. So let's resize him and let's mirror him back, and then let's just resize this character to be the correct size. Okay, so you have one camera and you want to place both of them in the same shot. Then again, you place both of them on that grid. So you don't want to do this, for example. Now if I remove the grid, my scene is not balanced. Okay, so if I take this character and I put him there, and I put this character and I put him there, again, if I remove the grid, this doesn't look right. It again doesn't look, there's unneeded space there in the middle, so it doesn't look balanced. So let's bring back and let's put this character on this grid. We put this character on this grid. And if we remove the grid, that looks a lot more balanced, and you can really do your dialogue. So if you have three cameras maybe set up for your animation, the one is a close-up on the old guy, the other one is a close-up on the young girl, and the third one have both of them in the scene, then you just use your rule of thirds and you place your characters on the grid, and you make sure that the sizes, the close-up are exactly the same, and that will create great balance between all the cameras. And when you switch from one camera to the next, your animation will just look smooth and it will look balanced. It will look the way it should. So always use this rule of thirds, these grids, when you create your animation, when you place your camera characters in your scene, or when you do your storyboarding and you plan out your layout and your staging of your scene. So the rule of thirds is a great starting point for you to get your scenes balanced. So if you are new to animation and you really want to learn more and you don't know where to begin, I've created a free video training, so you work alongside with me, and by the end of the video you would have created your very own animation, and that's the best way to learn. So if you are interested, in the description box below there's a link. Just click there and sign up, and then you can take that free video training where I work alongside with you, and you'll have the basic knowledge to then go and continue and create your very own animations and grow from there. So it's a great starting point. So again, in the description box below there's a link. Just click there and sign up, and you can take that free training. So guys, that is it for me. I will see you guys next week, again Tuesday for my live stream, and then next week Thursday with my new video as well. So if you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe and click on that little notification bell, and if you've enjoyed this video, click that thumbs up as well. It really helps the YouTube algorithms. So guys, that is it for me. I'll see you guys next week with another video. God bless and happy animating.